have like a.
Abuna?
Nader will be a DK.
I don't know is also.
There are inactive and active DK.
Christine, can you please have a seat? Please have a seat, Christine. This way, man. Yeah. Do you want a chair? Yeah, okay. Yo, these are fancy, John, eh? I like that. Would you? Jeez. Ooh, I like that. Gold edging and everything. I like that. I love it. That's what happens when you're both manager matches.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Crew. We are super excited for this week's topic on finance, much voted for. So we want to make sure that we trickle in. Don't worry, there is definitely more tacos afterwards as well. Oh, actually, never mind. But we will start shortly here. I want to give a hand to Nader Tadros, Senior Wealth Manager.
Thank you, thank you. All right, how's everyone doing? Everyone's full, got their tacos in? Yeah, okay, there's apparently more tacos, but I see empty trays, so I don't know, Christine, maybe we can go back on that comment. All right, guys, well, thank you so much for coming out today. My name is Nader. I work at IG Wealth Management. I'm a senior wealth advisor there. This is my wonderful associate, Thibault. And we're going to talk about the fun topic of finances today. It's a topic that a lot of people want to discuss, don't know how to talk about it, don't know where to start talking about it. Can definitely get complex, but we try to keep it as simple as possible. In today's talk, we are going to keep it quite general and just go over more general information, and then anything that is specific to your needs. If you want to go over anything, of course, feel free to give us a shout, and we can get into the specifics of your situation. All right. Without further ado. Okay, so everyone's got a different vision of the big fun word of retirement. I'm guessing everyone's working and everyone's looking forward to retirement. Yeah. Okay, us too. So different goals. We'll ask you actually, if you don't mind, get you to scan this, and it's just a fun little thing that we want to actually kind of take back from and see what it is that's important for you guys, to see as well, future topics if you want to talk about that. And then if there's something in specific that you want to go over, there is a little area that you can fill that in, and we can talk about that after. Sorry, you want to go? Okay. Okay, and we'll bring it back up on the end if someone's missed that. Okay, so what do you want for your future? Again, very dependent for everybody. Everyone's got different goals and visions of what's important to them and how they like to spend their time. So we have some technical difficulties here. John, he's on his way. And this is where the retirement conversation kind of goes. Sometimes we feel a little bit lost, right? So we're gonna nip that in the butt today. So okay, yeah, we can do that. So, is there any maybe questions from anybody that you guys have in general that we will see if we're gonna talk about? If not, I can maybe answer that for you right now. No. We don't talk about crypto. It's like we don't talk about Bruno, but we don't talk about crypto. No, it's crypto again. It's based on everyone's risk tolerance. There's no right or wrong answer. It's totally dependent, and we will talk about diversification. So that maybe is something that if someone wants to play with crypto, we don't say yes or no, but we definitely do not recommend it to be your portfolio. It's just there's not enough behind it that says yes, this is the way of the future. It again very well could be, but yeah, it could be a piece of the portfolio, but it shouldn't be the whole pie. Yeah. Any other questions? Sorry? Interest rates? Yeah. Yeah. GICs. Yeah, yeah, no fair. Yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, 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 for sure. Versus lump sums and things like that. Yeah, definitely. Cool. Okay. Okay. So again, what do we want for our future? Some people, want to be on a beach. Some people want to stay home and do yoga. Some people want to spend time with their families. Again, no right or wrong answer. Just personal quests. So it's essentially just important to make sure you have a map of where you want to go and also be adapted to the fact that that map can change. So there's no necessarily set stone. Things happen in life that can throw us in a different direction. And we always want to make sure that we're just, taking the steps that we need to in order to make sure we still reach the same end goal. So over time, on the left-hand side, we have our money chart. On the right-hand side, we have our time. And in the middle, of course, retirement. So kind of towards the left, you're sort of money poor, time rich. And then as we go further on, we're more money rich, time poor. So towards retirement, we're in accumulation stage. We want to save our money, we want to grow our money, we reach our retirement, and then we start depleting our funds, tapping into our funds. So essentially, it's important to have a plan that, again, reflects your priorities and also evolves over time. So in today's discussion, we're going to talk about building a base, focusing on growth, and living the life that you want to live. So a little bit about myself. My career started about almost 14 years ago. While I was in school, I decided I love the world of finance. I applied for a job at I can say the names, right? Yeah, yes, I applied for a job at TD Bank. I had a great career there. I did about 7 years at TD, and 6 of those 7 years were in wealth management. So within that, I had a capacity where I managed 3 different territories, strictly on the wealth management side of the business. But it was really assisting clients on the self-directed. So clients that wanted to buy and sell their own stocks, not necessarily get any financial advice. And then I really love the advice channel. I wanted to elevate my capabilities of what I can do with my clients. So at the time, my boss actually went to CIBC and was in charge of creating a department there that essentially looked for clients that didn't necessarily qualify for an advisor, but still required financial advice. So he took me along with him. I joined him there up until he retired for about 3 years. And then I got tapped on the shoulder from Scotiabank, and I went into a investment role there. So assisted clients again in high value clients with just overall financial planning. And that's what brought me to IG. In the period of those couple of years, I was actually back and forth in communication with IG. Just felt that I just wanted to develop my knowledge, develop my clients, and then eventually be able to provide full service planning to them. So I kind of felt that as much as the planning side was great, it was only able to provide 20 to 30% of advice for what clients actually needed. So there was a huge gap. And that's what brought me to my role. And that's what I love about my role today is we feel that we're able to tackle any client situation A to Z. There's no case that's too complex. We love complex cases. The more complex, the better, actually. And yeah, here we are. All right. So, talking about building our base. So we kind of broke it down 2 sections in each category. So prioritizing and protecting. So we want to know again what our clients' goals are. We want to figure out an investment strategy specifically for each person. And then we plan for your major expenses, right? Whether it's buying a house, saving for education for your child, renovating a home, buying multiple investment properties, whatever that may be. We also want to prepare for the unexpected. Things happen, unfortunately, in life, and we just need to make sure that if something happens, that we're well equipped and our clients are not left in the dark. So prioritizing your money management. So with that being said, we will go on to our fun slide of goals. How much will you need for your goal and how much time do you have to save for your goal? We'll pause on this. There we go. Okay. So again, different goals for different people. Whether you want to open or grow a business, we're looking to fund education, whether it's for yourself or for children or for loved ones, helping family members, starting a family, buying a home, or investing in different properties. And then again, we adjust as we go, right? As we reach different stages in life, your priorities, of course, will change. So it's just really a matter of how do we kind of go from priority one to priority two, or switch from the different priorities, and making sure that other things that are on your list are not missed or left out. Questions from the audience. That's I believe Niagara Falls. I don't know. The file itself. Yeah, it happens. Yeah. Sorry, post it again. I'm worried it's gonna crush in here. Okay, we're back on track. We're gonna have these fun intermissions as we go. Yeah, I like that. How many half times can we have? So, talking about the protection piece. So again, as much as it's important to be building your assets and growing your investments and things like that, it's also very important to protect. So right off the bat, we always think of protection as insurance, big scary word, a lot of negative connotation that comes around with it, and we see it as a need to have. We see it as a property in your home insurance. Is you have no choice, you've got to insure it, and that's what it is. But there's a lot of other types, such as life, disability, critical illness, and long-term care, that we don't think about and we don't tend to think about until, unfortunately, it's time that you need to tap into it. And I think it's one of those things where Yeah, it's you don't see its value until it's needed. But once it's needed, you're like, okay, I get it. So, yeah, keep going from there. So reducing the risk that matters at every stage. So again, as we grow older, you have your human capital. We have the ability, we have our health, thankfully, and we have the ability to go to work. We have the ability to earn money. We have the ability to save money. And then as you reach retirement, again, those goals tend to change. You start to be in your spending years, and our assets start to deplete. Okay. And we're gonna have a halftime show again. Yeah. Okay, we're not gonna have visuals unless it comes up. It's you know what we can do. I think what we'll do is exit presentation mode, and we can just if it stays on, always scroll through it. It's better. We don't have to be in presentation. You know what I mean? Like that. Will that be easier? And we can just scroll through the side.
I don't think that's the problem. The problem is that it disconnects.
John, Dr. John, Dr. John. Okay, we're gonna do something different, if possible. If we keep it in presentation mode like this, so forget the slides, right? Just keep it
Like this.
like this.
Just slide it down. Okay, that might
It's
work.
not ideal, but it's a
the
little
best
bit.
you're gonna do?
It's we're trying.
Like the problem is that it's not that this loses.
It's just a lot of information on these slides that the system's having a little bit of a hard time capturing it. So, just a few more moments, if you don't mind. Just walk around with it.
Slide where you want.
All your money in. Oh, that's all you want to know? Oh, okay. It's a good question. So,
Nader will get you the money.
sorry?
I submit. Does it go up there?
No.
Are you gonna share it? Oh,
No.
being savage.
Yeah. Be savage. It's okay.
What are you trying to do? Okay, here, Nader.
Okay.
You're just gonna go like this.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fine. No, send it to but that's okay. Thank you. Appreciate it, bro. Okay, we're gonna get out of PowerPoint mode and we're gonna just kind of do it this way instead. So I apologize, it won't be a full screen, but hopefully this will help with the connection a little bit. So again, we're gonna be looking at focusing on growth. So as we focus on growth, we aim for time in the markets. So as much exposure as we have to the markets, the better. History shows us that again, you cannot time the markets. A lot of people I'm sorry, I don't remember. Was it you that mentioned trading, for example? I love trading. It's fun, but trading you got to be right twice. You got to be right at your buying point, and you have to be right at your exit point. I'm one of my favorite financial gurus, Warren Buffett, just says it best. Where it's not about time in the markets; it's time in the markets. As long as you're buying good quality stuff, the longer you're invested, you're sure to make money. So again, we aim for time in markets. We adjust our risk over time. So the younger someone is, the more risk they can take. Versus again, someone in retirement and they're now needing the capital that they've saved over the years and grown over the years to start spending, our risk has to come down. And again, if we've saved enough over time, then we don't need to take as much risk in retirement in order to fund our retirement. Having a well-diversified portfolio is also key. And we look at determining tax strategies. So a net return is the key. It's not about gross returns. So we look at tax strategies on the investment side, on the estate side as well. So that time that unfortunately comes to all of us where we pass away, it's very heavy taxation that we do have to take in. So how we can be more efficient on that side, as well as determine a tax strategy for your business. So whether you're operating or looking to sell your business, there are ways that we can save a ton of money in tax. It's closing. It's open new slides. That's okay. Okay. So that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. I'll just go to optimize. Sorry, guys. We apologize. It's just all right. Okay, so we'll talk about optimizing our investment portfolios eventually. Yeah, great question. Taxes are the biggest thing. So there's different concepts for holding companies. You can use a holding company to buy investments. You can use a holding company to buy properties. So there's on part of it, there's a liability side. If you were to, for example, your business gets sued, and the other side of it is a tax side as well. So a common thing that we do for a lot of our clients would be purchasing insurance policies actually through the holding corp. And that way, when there's insurance payouts, tax significantly more favored. And again, just protecting you against being sued. So we can go in more specifics about that. There's always, with holding corps, there's a lot of complexities that can come into them. There's a lot of options that come in with holding corps, so we can definitely talk about that as well. We don't talk about it in here, but yeah, it's a great question. Yeah. Christine? Perfect. No. Wealthsimple, it's a good question. It's okay. Wealthsimple is actually it's an investment company that allows you to buy and sell stocks on your own. So you don't get advice from Wealthsimple. Well, it's a no commission. Yeah. So it's just kind of like a discount brokerage. They don't like the term discount brokerage because it sounds, but it is what it is. Great platform. Actually, okay, yeah. So it's actually where we have some ownership in it, but we don't own it. But yes, so it's just a different suit for different clients' needs. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So any other questions? Sorry. No. Okay. Cool. So we'll talk about time matters. So someone mentioned like looking to save money on okay, I'll just talk. Earlier than later. So the faster we save money, the better, really. It allows you to have more exposure again and time in the markets. Some fun statistics that we had up there. Someone that's saving, I believe the number's worth $3,000 a year from, I believe, age 18. And putting that money in just a regular investment, not a very high risk, earning 5.5% rate of return. Yeah, that's great. Thanks, guys. Sorry. So I'm sorry, I won't have a presentation to show you, unfortunately, but I'll have some talking points. Where are we? Slides. Okay, so essentially, are you gonna still try to like get it up there? Yeah. Okay. So we'll try to keep it going, but in the meantime, I'll just talk. So essentially states that someone saving $3,000 a year from age 22 to 36 over 15 years saves $45,000 from their own principal investment, earning 5.5% rate of return, which is not a crazy rate of return, pretty standard. By age 65, has 335,000 saved. Someone that starts at age 41, saving the same amount of money of $3,000 a year over 25 years, has $75,000 saved. And considering the same portfolio, 5.5%, will have at age 65, sorry, we'll have 161,000 saved. And if you start saving at age 41 while doubling your investment, so actually a little bit more, $6,200 a year, you've put aside 155,000, and with your growth, it brings you back up to the 334. So you have to more than double your initial rate of investment just by starting 20 years, 19 years later, and you're still not even fully caught up. So again, it just shows you that the earlier you start, you save more than 3 times the amount and have more than 3 times the investment made up by the same age. So different types of accounts that you can invest in. There's tax-free savings accounts, there's RSPs, there's non-registered accounts, a whole bunch of types. Can get complicated, and sometimes people think, well, where do I invest first? Do I max my TFSA? Do I max my RSP? Should I invest in an RSP? It's very specific to everyone's needs. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Penalty. Yeah. 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 So I honestly don't think it's CRA trying to like milk a couple bucks here and there. Yeah. It's more a matter of like, how often are they reviewing? The banks are required to report just once a year to CRA to say, okay, hey, this is the contributions that we've received from the client. So sometimes it could fall back in the system a little bit, and unfortunately, it does cause a little bit of delay by the time they actually are notifying the clients. Yeah, and that's why it's important actually to kind of to ensure that you're not spreading out, especially your TFSAs. It's important to keep it, yeah, at one institution for sure. And again, if you're working with an advisor, your advisor also keeps track of that for you, right? So we tell our clients, hey, based on overall, actually, ironically, we this chart is up here that tells us contribution limits per room, uh, but it's just CRA rules. So on that note, essentially, if you've just used easy numbers here, if you've maximized your TFSA each year, you've withdrawn your TFSA in full for a purchase of a home or whatever your needs may be, you can recontribute the money you've taken out once the new calendar year starts, so January 1st. But what's nice about it is you can put back whatever you've taken out. And you can have infinite amount of growth in your TFSA without any tax consequences. There's nothing to report. So hypothetically, if you've grown your TFSA to 250,000 and you take the 250,000 out, you can recontribute that 250,000 and continue to invest that without any tax consequences. Okay. Correct. Yeah. But if it's grown to 250, right? So you can contribute, you can recontribute whatever you've taken out. So yeah, you're not capped to the contribution limit. Your contribution limit is just what you're allowed to contribute each year, but your recontribution is whatever you withdraw over whatever time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, so next page. Okay, so when we talk about risk, big scary word next to retirement, a lot of us realize the value in taking risk and see that it's appropriate to take risk in order for us to grow, but we're scared to take risk. And there's no right or wrong answer to that. We, at the end of the day, tell our clients you have to be able to sleep comfortably at night. And again, going back to invest in earlier versus later, the earlier you start, the less risk you need to take in order to reach your goals. So different portfolios expose us to different risk levels. Typically, we say the level of risk grows with the amount of stocks you hold in your portfolio. So if you have a portfolio that's 100% stocks, that's the riskiest portfolio you can be, even if it's just, good quality blue chips. So, your typical TD Bank, RBC, things like that. Dr. John's going to save the day. I feel it. Then again, we're looking at that as an asset class. So the more money is invested in the stock market, the higher risk you're essentially taking, versus GICs or fixed income products like bonds. So it's a double-edged sword. We always assume GICs are safe. You cannot lose money. Is everyone familiar with what a GIC is? Is anyone not sure what a GIC is? Okay, so a GIC is essentially a principal protected product. You put X amount of dollars in, whatever amount it is, and they guarantee you a certain rate of return on your money as long as that money is in there. Typically, GICs are locked, so the shortest term is usually 1 year. There are some cashables and things like that. We won't get into the specifics, but just as a general, you typically lock in your money for 1 year. You receive a certain rate of interest, and that's it. GIC rates were attractive, especially in the last year, because interest rates, as we unfortunately have experience on mortgages, have gone up significantly, which means GIC rates have also gone up. So again, depends on where someone's situation may be. If we're holding mortgages, we're like, I don't want the rates to go up. If someone may be retired or is living mortgage free and sitting in some cash, they want the rates to go up because now they're making more money on their GICs. However, GICs collect interest, and interest is 100% taxable. Amazing. Thank you. So with that all being said, again, we kind of noted earlier that the net returns is the most important factor, not the gross return. So that's money in your pocket after all fees, after all taxes. That's actually what matters. That's what stays in your pocket. And we'll go over that in a little bit as well. This portfolio this slide sort of breaks down a low risk portfolio, very low risk portfolio versus the highest risk portfolio. And we see with the low risk portfolio, 70% is typically in bonds and GICs, and the rest would be in different asset classes like stocks and other, higher risk, quote unquote, products. Typical low risk portfolio generates 3 to 4% per year, and it has a variance of 5 to 7. So that can range in either way. So if we have a negative performing year in the markets, we might experience a loss of 5%. If we have a high performing year, we might experience a positive gain of 5%. If we go to the extreme on an aggressive portfolio, we typically see 7 to 8% rates of return. That's net. And again, depending on market conditions, that can vary between 25 to 30%. So you see, again, there might not be a huge difference with what we expect on an average, but there's definitely a significant difference with what we see just based on market fluctuation and volatility. You can, yes, yeah. If you're gonna buy a GIC, yes, you should buy it in a TFSA, so at least you don't have the 100% tax on that. Yeah, for sure. It depends, honestly. It depends, right? Like you might want to keep money liquid, and then GIC just doesn't achieve that for you, right? So it just totally depends on the situation. Yeah, and that's why having a clear indication of what your goals are important, and then having, like we said, that map towards a goal is really what dictates it, right? Yeah. Those are funds. So not necessarily index funds. They're just mutual funds and ETFs. So on average, this is just average rates of return. Yeah. So buying an individual stock, for example, is not going to be the same kind of comparison. Index funds, same thing. Like it just whether you're buying like the S&P, for example, it's like just dependent. So this is just based on overall market averages. Yeah. Okay. We did, yeah. So we kind of touched on like the different types of accounts that are available to us to invest in. This is all on the personal side, by the way. We're not really touching much on the corporate side or business side. But on the personal side and then on the right-hand side, we actually have our TFSA limits. So TFSAs were created in 2009. Nice little part about TFSAs, as long as you are qualified to hold a TFSA in '09, you can go back and do a lump sum contribution. So you do not need to wait year over year in order to catch up. You can technically, if you're qualified in '09 to open one, and you've never contributed, you can do a one-time lump sum contribution of $95,000 today and be able to start investing. Yes, Christine? Yeah, great question. So what? Yeah, great question. So, so the question was, what's the difference between a regular savings account and a TFSA? So regular savings accounts are typically, again, interest bearing. So you put money in, the money stays liquid, so it stays accessible to you. That's what you'll probably see at a bank, or you can open up a high interest savings account, and you can access the money at any point, and they give you a certain percentage based on your money. TFSA, in theory, does the same thing. It's a savings account. Most TFSAs will also pay you an interest rate on cash balances. The difference, again, is your cash balance, your growth in the TFSA is tax sheltered. Interest bearing, a savings account that just collects interest, you pay tax at the end of the year. Okay, versus a TFSA, again, whether you collect interest or your money's growing in the stock market, whatever it may be, it's always remaining tax sheltered. So we always want to take advantage of TFSAs. There's two downfalls of a TFSA. One, there's a limit. That's the downfall. If there was no limit, everyone should just be investing in a TFSA and call it a day. You have the ability to access it when you need. You don't pay to access your funds. You don't pay taxes on your funds. The negative, number two, is that you cannot claim a loss in your TFSA. So if you are in a taxable account, so if you are invested in an account that you pay taxes on, such as a non-registered, you have to pay tax on your gains, but you can claim your losses against your income. A TFSA, you do not claim any gains, but you cannot claim losses against your income. That's it. Any other questions about the TFSAs? Yes. Yeah. No. No. So, like, easy scenario. Someone has invested their max, $95,000. They invested this money. They turned it into $150,000. They say, great, I want out of this investment. They didn't take the money out of their TFSA. They just want to switch their investment. They can just reallocate that 150 or whatever amount it is into different investments within the account. And going back to that other point of if they wanted to access their money, they can take that 150,000 out. They do not pay any taxes on it. They do not report it to CRA. And then January 1st, the following year, they can recontribute that 150, not just the 95. So they can always recontribute what they took out. Okay. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To renew. Yeah. You want to see what happens at the time. Yeah. You could. You could. Yeah. Yeah. So the question is, if you buy a GIC within a TFSA, the GIC renews in 1 year, and you've not instructed it to renew, what happens? The money essentially will sit in cash within the TFSA. That's it. Yeah. It does not count as a withdrawal. No. You almost treat all of these accounts as a wallet with two pockets. There's a cash pocket and there's an investment pocket. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions with that? Yeah. Correct. Correct. Yes. 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 So another flip side is you've invested 95,000. The markets took a turn on you and it's now worth 75,000. That's possible. and now you cannot claim that $20,000 loss against your income. No, because you're at your max. You can put more in January 1st of the following year of whatever that room is available to you. So this year, 7,000. Yeah. And you almost want to be as aggressive as possible with your TFSA because you don't pay tax, right? So like, it kind of goes back to like, should I buy a GIC and a TFSA? You can, but you want your TFSA to be working the hardest for you. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, there's a few questions here. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So insurance companies don't actually have TFSAs. Like if you were like in a wealth company, or like, sure. So no big differences. It just really depends. Like TFSAs at a bank level, you can actually only have cash in there and collect interest. TFSAs, even through a bank, but through their wealth departments, you can invest. Yeah. So there's two types of the TFSAs, right? They function the exact same. It's just what vehicles can be held in that TFSA, what tools can be held in that TFSA, whether it's cash and GICs or cash, GICs, bonds, mutual funds, stocks. So you get access to all of those products as long as you're in a wealth part of the bank instead of the branch level. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so like yeah, we'll have client scenarios. For example, we had a client this year that was looking to purchase their home. So they took they did great in their TFSA. They had great performance. Great. Where's my down payment coming from? I'll take it from my TFSA. Take it from the TFSA. Now the house closes. We can recontribute that money if they need to. Yeah, yeah. Or if they sell the property, then they can go ahead and put it back in as a lump sum. Yeah, yeah. Good question. Yeah. Mhm. Correct. No, you can recontribute it in the future dates as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good question. Yeah, so you're not restricted. So the question is if you take out the 150,000 today, do you only have until next year to recontribute that 150,000, or does that kind of carry on, and it carries on? Yeah. Yeah. You can, but again, it's like it's dependent on everyone's needs, right? Yeah, you can. In theory, you can do that. Whether it makes sense, again, it kind of just depends on what you're trying to do with it. Yeah, 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 yeah. You can, and it's hard to like it's hard to say exactly like yes you should, yes you shouldn't. Um, you'll we'll hear the word it depends quite a bit, and that's like you talk to an accountant, they'll be like should you do this or should you do that? They'll be like it depends, right? And it just really it does depend on everyone's circumstances and what your exact position is at the time. So there's no right or wrong, honestly, and that's where again your advisor should tell you, hey, no, you should do this or no, you shouldn't, because they'll be aware of the full picture. Yeah, yeah. Any other questions? Move on. Move on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So with an RSP, so retirement savings plans. So again, we always hear like, oh, RSPs. I don't know if I should contribute to an RSP. I heard you get taxed a lot, and when you take your money out, and it's true, you can. So again, we're gonna say that word. It depends. Everyone's situation is different. If you have an income and you're not self-employed, for example, you're in a higher tax bracket, it is better to contribute to an RSP versus paying our lovely friend Mr. Trudeau. It's as simple as that. You can pay taxes or you can pay yourself. You pay yourself, you put it in an account that you can also invest, you can grow it. The growth within that account is also tax sheltered, so you do not pay taxes on the growth. You pay taxes when you take the money out. And the whole theory behind an RSP is to take the money out when you're in a lower income bracket. So there's two scenarios. If you are not a first, if you don't own a property, sorry, so if you're a first-time home buyer, you can put money in. Whatever you contribute to your RSP comes off of your income, so you're taxed less. You can take that money out for the deposit of your home. You do not pay taxes on it. You have to recontribute it within 15 years to your RSP. And that's it. The money's back in your accounts. You continue to invest it and you do not touch it until you go into retirement. Once you retire, assuming you're not in a pension situation and things like that, and again, that's why it does depend on everyone's situation. You take that money out when your income drops, and you're taking it when you're in a lower income bracket. So you've saved money when you're in a higher bracket. You've taken your money out when you're in a lower bracket. Your net return, what's in your pocket, is still higher. And again, all the money in that period of time has been invested in the markets, and that's not taxed as growth. So it's also controllable income. You can say, okay, this year I will take out $5,000. Next year I will take out $20,000, so on and so forth. And you can adjust it more accordingly so that you're controlling how much you're being taxed versus you're being told how much taxes you're going to pay. So there are a lot of benefits for an RSP there. Sorry? Don't share your passwords. Okay. So that's the benefit of an RSP. Yes. No. Good question. Contribution limits are capped, 18% of your income to a maximum, I believe, 26,000 and change per year. So it's the higher of. So again, using an easy number, if you're making 100,000 a year, you're capped at 26,000. If you're making 250,000, you're capped at the 18% of your 250,000. Yeah, and your RSP contribution rolls over, by the way. It carries forward year over year, so you can also catch up. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, sir. Yeah. It depends. Yeah, I always say, like, you always want to put in enough to your RSP that you're not paying taxes, but you don't want to be putting in enough to receive a return, right? So a lot of people will try to say, like, if I max out my RSP, I'll get a $5,000 return. And you know what? That might be a strategy for someone because it can be used towards your TFSA contribution, right? So you can be double dipping in that nature. But as long as you're just not paying taxes, that's the key. Anything in addition to be bringing you a return, that's where the conversation comes of, okay, well, what's the rest of my income looking like? Where is my income supposed to be, in 15 years? Am I going to have a pension? Am I not going to have a pension? Should I be putting in more? Should I not be putting in more? So some people are just like, yeah, I'm putting in just enough to not pay tax. And others are looking for a return that, again, you can take that return. You could put it towards your TFSA contribution as well. And then if you have no pension coming up, for example, you kind of want to max out as much as you can and save taxes and pull it out when you're at a no income stage of life. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Good point. So you can choose. So an RSP, you can actually convert you can technically take out an RSP at any time, right? You can be 40 years old and start taking out of your RSP. At age 71, you have no choice. The government forces you to convert your RSP into what's called a RIF account, which is a retirement income fund. And there's a certain percentage that comes out of that account every year. So as you get older, the percentage increases, and their goal is essentially to deplete it by age 100. So I believe that the figure right now is around 4%, roughly. So again, if you've got $100,000 in your RSP, you take that 4% on an annual basis. That's what's required to come out. You can choose to take it monthly. You can choose to take it annually. It's quite flexible. And then if you decide to take out more, you can, but then you're taxed a little bit differently. So once the money goes from an RSP to a RIF, the money that they force you to take out is your money directly. So again, let's just use easy numbers. You're required to take out $5,000. That $5,000 enters your bank account. Versus if you take out $5,000 from an RSP, the institution has to hold back 10%. So you actually only receive $4,500 in your bank accounts. Okay? That $500 difference did go to tax. So when you go to file your taxes at the end of the year, they're going to say, okay, you paid $500 towards your income tax balance. So you either receive a credit or a debit or you offset each other. With a RIF, you just maintain that full withdrawal. But again, it is considered income for you at the end of the year as well. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yes. Potentially. Yeah. And that's why we look at, again, like it's one of those things where RSPs are not necessarily for everybody. It's some people like it's like, no, it makes absolutely no sense. I'm going to have a massive pension when I'm retired. It actually hurts you, right? It might be better short term, but it might be more harmful long term. Yeah. So then we would be able to, we build scenarios and we have our tools and resources that we are able to then plug it in and say, okay, our retirement, it actually goes really nitty gritty. And we'll say to the dollar, this is how much money you're going to actually spend in taxes when you're 90, right? And yeah, it's pretty scary sometimes, but yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, one more question and then we'll do questions in the end and then we'll move on to the presentation. Okay, yeah. It's still taxed. It's still taxed, yeah. Then it's taxed like an RSP. So then that difference. So like if they tell you take 5,000 out as a mandatory, you receive the 5,000. But if you need 10, the difference, so that extra 5,000 is taxed like an RSP. So they'll hold back 10%. Yeah. Only if you take out in addition to whatever they require you to take out. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. We'll move on to the next slides. And then we'll go over questions as they come, but we'll try to save them towards the end. Just I want to make sure everyone is able to get tacos while they're still warm. There's no more tacos. Sorry. Okay. So diversification. So we went back to like, the crypto comment. Should I buy crypto, right? And maybe, but again, it comes really back down to diversification. We always say you should not have 100% of your assets in just one specific product, regardless of what it is. If you're 100% in cash, it's too risky. If you're 100% in stock, it's too risky. So the key is to essentially diversify as much of your assets as possible. So just a little illustration. Your assets are all in one column. That column breaks, there goes your roof. If you have 3 different columns, if one column breaks, you still have your 2 columns holding your roof up. So yeah, nice little demonstration there. Back to the tax conversation about different types of investments. So again, we feel that GICs typically are safe or interest-bearing products are safe, but it's not necessarily the highest rate of return. And that comes back down to the net rates, right? So this shows you on a 54% tax bracket. So this is the highest tax bracket. Someone that's earned interest of $1,000 of income of $1,000 from different tools. So interest, number one, you've actually paid $535 in taxes. Your $1,000, you've actually only made $465. If you've received capital gains, so mutual funds, for example, you've made $1,000 of overall income. You've only paid $268 in taxes, and you've received $730 in your bank account. So again, we see the difference right away of, okay, fine, I've received 5% on my GIC, but $465 of it is straight to the taxes, man, right? So again, it's just really dependent on where you are in terms of what your goals are, whether a GIC makes sense or not. Not to say GICs are not good. GICs are great and they definitely serve a purpose. But we just always have to bear in mind what the tax consequences are behind each investment product and whether it's then suitable for you and your goals or not. Okay. Next, so we go into the spend and share stage of life. So the spending. We have to know the impact of what our spending habits are. We have to know what we can spend in retirement. We need to aim for peace of mind, and we need to use assets to live out our values. So, okay, if I make X amount of dollars, what are my values? Do I want to make charitable donations? Do I want to help in the community? Do I want to give back in any form? And then how does that also impact the big tax word? And then also at the estate level, what happens in the estate? What happens if someone passes away? How do my assets get treated? What do I need to do? Do I need to speak to my lawyer, my accountant? Do I have my wills in place? Do I have my powers of attorneys in place? Do I have certain protection in place to ensure that, you know, my loved ones are not going to be carrying a large mortgage? And again, we don't think of these things until, unfortunately, it's too late. So having these things come up in conversation and planning along the way, especially at a younger age, it's definitely more important and a lot cheaper to do so the younger we are. Okay, so inflation. I'm sure everyone's heard a lot about inflation this year. If you turn on your TV for about 5 minutes and turn to CP24, you would have heard it about 15 times. Inflation is a killer for growth, for buying power. So if anyone knows me, I will definitely use a food experiment in here. So cost of a hamburger in the 1960s, 15 cents. French fries, 15 cents. Milkshake, 22 cents. A full meal at McDonald's, 52 cents. Today is approximately $15.97. So your buying power over time continues to diminish as long as, you know, we're not essentially offsetting inflation. Okay. Neat little chart. So $1 million at the start with a 2% inflation after 25 years after expected retirement date, your $1 million is worth $615,000. $1 million at 3% inflation is buying power of $481,000. And $1 million at 4% inflation is $375,000. That's huge. That's huge. That's huge. That's huge. If we are sitting in cash, which again we are, especially like, you know, we're kind of taught like cash is king. You know, stay in cash, stay in cash, stay in cash. Yes, it's important to have cash. Definitely. It is king. But again, it goes back to risk. And having 100% cash, you are actually losing money technically every year just in buying power. We feel comfortable. We see the bank account is the same. Nothing's changed in my bank account. My $1,000 is still $1,000 a year later, but how far is that $1,000 going? Okay. That's inflation in a nutshell. All right. So we share our lives with others. So we can skip that. Yeah. Okay. So again, we're kind of going back to, we talked about charitable giving. So charitable requests and life insurance policies, charitable life annuities, registered plans, private foundations, donor advisor funds. These are all different types of ways that you can give back and be able to, again, do some good in the community. You know, especially like we see a lot with our clients where, okay, you know, there's major tax consequences at the end of the year. What can I do to be able to do something good for my community as well as positively benefit as well? So we definitely, you know, encourage and look at different ways to do that. Back to the estate planning conversation. So deciding where your money will go. It's, again, an uncomfortable conversation to have, but a very important conversation. Does my estate go to my spouse? Does it go to my children? Does it go to parents? Does it go to family? Does it go to loved ones? Or does it fully go to a charity? You can donate it to the church. You can donate it to whatever really you like. But these things do need to be clearly indicated. We always work with our clients' attorneys, their lawyers, and again, their accountants to make sure that the proper things are in place to make sure that their wishes are respected at that time. So overall, better planning just comes to peace of mind. Having your investments and managing your investments with no advice kind of shows you the net worth over time. 4 to 6 years of professional advice, you get 1.8 times your net worth. 7 to 14 years of professional advice, you get 2 times your net worth. And 15 plus years of advice, you get 2.3 times your net worth. Again, we So I'll kind of give you like a synopsis, I guess we can say, of what it looks like to be working, with an actual advisor versus just going into an institution and saying, okay, I'm gonna open this account and buy this or sell that. The first things first is discovering. So again, discovering what is important. Everyone again has different goals and aspirations and wishes. So it's sitting down, okay, what's important to you? What makes sense to you? What doesn't make sense to you? Where do you see yourself in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? From there, my fantastic Thibaut and I, our team, we go off and we complete our analysis. We input everything into our systems and into our tools. Thank you. My awesome wife, thank you. Good job, wife. Good job, wife. Always making sure I'm hydrated. Thank you. So again, we take a look at that. We look at your taxes. We look at your income. We look at where your savings currently are at. We look at what growth we need to generate and how do we generate that growth in the most, conservative way possible, of course. Then we develop our plan. We sit down together. We review the plan. We say, okay, this is what we've come up with. Hey, guess what? You're funded for retirement, or you're going to have to work for another 10 years unless we make some changes here. So these are things, again, the earlier we look at this, it's not a conversation of I'm now 60 and I want to retire today, but no, I'm sorry, you can't. Like, it's just not possible to retire versus, hey, I'm 25. I want to retire when I'm 55. What do I need to do today in order to retire at 55? And then creating a disciplined action plan for that time. We finalize the plan, we implement the plan, and then we have constant revision of the plan. So legally, we have to sit down together once a year. Our team just feels like that's just way too long. We strictly do semi-annual meetings at a minimum, and then client meetings as much as we need and as much as the client needs. As life changes, we always say, hey, you're having a baby, perfect. The person you're going to tell first are your parents, and you're going to tell us second. You're getting married, perfect. You're going to tell your parents, and then you're going to tell us second. So it's one of those things. We want to be very involved in our clients' lives and then make sure we adjust the plan as we go. Clients get to see the portfolios online. They get to see, okay, this is where we always want to see, that we're funded for retirement. Shows us, okay, where money's coming from. Is it coming from my non-registered accounts, from my TFSA accounts? How much from each? How much is coming from CPP? How much am I paying in taxes? What is my net worth at retirement? So it goes really nitty-gritty. And it also gives us strategies that we can continuously just work towards improving our plan overall. And last but not least, we're almost last but not least, our team. So myself, I'm of course fully licensed, financial advisor and wealth manager. We've got my, of course, accreditation in Canadian securities, derivatives, fundamentals, and options. We have Mia Karmelik, who couldn't be with us today, but she's our division leader. She's fantastic. You search her, you might see her on some news channels, some BNN and Bloomberg and whatnot. Leading woman in the industry for sure. Again, unfortunately, David couldn't be with us today, but I'm sure you all know David. So David's also my partner. And we have, again, wonderful Thibaut Mazero. We also have a local team of specialists. So again, we say no client need is too complex, whatever it may be. So we have Jill. She strictly handles our insurance and our estate planning. We have Sono, who's our wealth planning specialist. This man will be able to dissect any stock and just give you, he's just wonderful at stock picking and dissection. And we have Daniel, so mortgage solutions as well. So we try to keep everything for our clients in-house. We want to make sure that we're the one point of contact for our clients. We do not offer just mortgages, so it is really like an in-house solution. And yeah, other than that, a little bit of IG, 97 years in the business, $110 billion of assets under management. That's fine. We'll move on. And yeah, we'll go over 2 client stories that actually we've worked on lately. So Eva, we won't use real names here, but Eva left her career as a physiotherapist to care for her husband. She wanted to start a home-based physiotherapy business. She had 2 children that she's raising, ages 10 and 13. She's living on payments from critical illness and life insurance policies, and she's got $100,000 in an RSP. So she came to us and said, how much income do I need? And how do we have to update her investment strategy? Do we need to take more risk or less risk? So we looked at different scenarios in Eva's life. We analyzed her cash flow, for her and for her business. We integrated some tax planning for her. We looked at the CPP survivor benefit as well as orphan benefits to provide additional financial support to her. We integrated a plan to pay down her mortgage. We looked at a needs-based analysis for death and disability, and we realigned her portfolio. What that essentially did is we were able to enhance the retirement funding from 78% of target to 92. So it's one of those things where like, okay, well, no, you weren't really able to be in this situation right now, but if we take certain measures and changes into your plan, then we can try to make it a little bit better. So that was a good news story there. Lastly was, what do we name her? Jeannie? Jan. Okay. All right. So she's a dentist, was deciding whether it's time to sell her practice or not. So she wants to have more flexibility, just doesn't know if it's the right time to sell the practice. She recently purchased a home for her father, and she also wants to continue to support her children, their activities. She had $200,000 in an RSP. She had $92,000 in a TFSA. She had $340,000 in non-registered accounts and $45,000 in RSPs, which are education savings accounts. So again, she had an offer to sell the property, or sell the practice, and we created two scenarios. Okay, if you sell the clinic, what does it look like for you? Overall, if she kept the practice, she'd be able to fund her retirement from the business profits and her estate value at age 95, so be able to pass on to her children $5.3 million. If she sold the practice, then she can still retire. However, she'd be using her investments to fund her retirement instead of the proceeds from the business, and her estate would now be an inheritance of $3 million. So again, at that point, the decision ultimately is her. Either way, she's okay, but it gives her the ability to make an educated decision with how to proceed in life, essentially. So these are just some of the examples we do. And yeah, other than that, I'll leave it up to maybe a few minutes of questions, or go from there. Thank you. All right. Does anyone have any questions at all? Oh, right.
I'm not sure if you guys are, depending on where you are in your stage of life and everything. I think they hear me. Yeah, good. I think one of Do you hear me better like that? Oh, you're recording? Oh, wow. Hi. Hi, Mom. Yeah, like I think one of the first things that, we notice even with our clients when you start working with them is you may be making a lot of good money, but you don't actually know where your money is going. So do you guys have a cash flow or budget? What do you guys have tips? Where are we on that budget here? Everybody has a budget, has a cash flow, knowing where the money is going? Okay. Now, second question that we usually go with is, does that also change along the time? Because we saw clients where you have a budget and you just don't realize that, okay, that was 10 years ago. I don't eat the same. I have a baby now. So that was one of the things that we've noticed is, okay, that also goes into the planning. So does everybody here update their cash flows kind of thing? Yeah, cool. That's what I wanted to see. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Obviously, like, I full attest to this. I think I've made probably like 7 times a day. It's really not about how much money someone makes. It's about how much money someone saves. We see it all the time. Like we see it all the time with high income earners where, there's great income, but the money gets depleted pretty quickly. And a lot of the times you'll see it where, someone's making like average incomes, but they've got a ton of money saved up. And it just really comes down to saving habits and discipline, right? So, yeah, the more discipline, the better. And again, having that budgeting, as Thibaut said, is just like, it's key. Yeah. Yeah, book suggestions. Ooh, yeah, we can definitely send some. We can put it on the QR. If you can just comment saying like you want that, we can make sure we send it off to you. Yeah. Yeah. Does everyone want a cash flow worksheet? Yeah, we have a lot of nods. Okay, so yeah, Freddy's like yes, please. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, we didn't know that. That's interesting. Cool. Ah, which doesn't give you cash flow. No. Okay. So yeah, we'll make sure we send everyone a cash flow worksheet. It's a really fun exercise. I think it's an eye-opening exercise. I mean, I personally was surprised when I saw how much I spent on Uber Eats. But yeah, sorry, you had a question? Yeah, we can send that off as well.
Yeah. No, I think even on the budget, like I feel like I have tried different things. Like I had like different apps for my budget as well. But I'm not going to like it just always works. It just depends on what works for you. Like I'm still pretty old school. Like I have my Excel sheet. I'm not going to lie to you. I have an Excel sheet. I have like a Google Drive. Like whenever I'm buying something, I'm like, okay, this came out of food. This came out of shopping. Like it depends on what works for you. But yeah, we have some stuff that we can send to you and see what that works. Yeah, for sure.
So the question was, is a financial advisor like a wealth manager in addition to or instead of a financial advisor at a bank? Correct. Okay. Very different. So walk into a branch and I need to open up a checking account. They're going to say, no problem. We're going to set you up with our financial advisor. We are. It's actually like it's an industry issue. I feel that the title kind of like transfers over. It is very different. Yeah, it's very different. Financial advisors at a wealth management firm, we're fully licensed and accredited advisors to give advice on investment and financial planning needs, as well as insurance needs. So the level of advice that you can receive from a bank versus a wealth management firm is very different. The access to products that you can receive at a bank versus a wealth management firm is also very different. Every bank has a wealth management firm. So you can work with an advisor at RBC Dominion Securities or TD Private Wealth, right? And they are wealth financial advisors, right? The same way we are wealth financial advisors at IG. A branch financial advisor is mainly their goal is to focus on checking accounts, savings accounts, mortgages, and then investments, but their investments are limited to mutual funds. And again, it is not financial planning. It's more a matter of, oh, you're 30 years old and you make X amount of dollars, so you don't need the money for 10 years. These are my suite of low, medium, and high risk portfolios, and it kind of stops there. It's not tax planning. It's not estate planning. And then again, the type of investment management is quite different. Yeah. So great question, for sure. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Depends. Okay. It depends. Typically, right, with a wealth management firm, it's usually 250,000 plus. Obviously, for community, family, friends, we do make exceptions, of course, towards those minimums. What we're really looking to do is we're growing our practice, and we want to work with people for the long term. We don't want to work with someone for a year or 6 months. We want to work with you, your family, your friends for the next 15, 20, 25 years. We want to be part of your retirement journey. So yeah, we again for community and family friends. No, we don't look at. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Political answer or not? We're better. No, I'm kidding. Um, it really, you know what? It's the firm is irrelevant. It really comes down to the person. You can have a great experience with someone at RBC and you can have a terrible experience with someone at RBC. You can have a great experience with someone at AG and you can have a terrible experience with someone at AG. It really does come down to the individual. It comes down to making sure that like you should have a really good relationship with your advisor, or your advisor should really know you inside and out. We have clients that'll tell us like, you know me better than my spouse. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it is really about having a deep level of understanding for your client. Your client should also understand you. Clients are well aware of what's going on in my life. I'm well aware of what's going on in their life, and it should be that two-way streak. And again, it's also about being heard. So your advisor should really be taking into consideration what your comfort level is and acting in your best interest, of course, along the way. So yeah, those are yeah. Yes, Freddy. Yeah, good question as well. So big misconception is wealth manager means more expensive. So I'll give you an average. So at a typical mutual fund, average Canadian pays around 2%. Our fee structure is a little bit different. We do not just charge an MER, which is what they call the 2% fee. And MER stands for a management expense ratio. We break our fees down into two. So we have the fund fee of, I'm going to use 2% across the board, okay? We have our fund fee of 1%, say, and our advisor fee of 1%. So your net return, or net fee, sorry, is 2 and 2, regardless. The difference is an advisor is a professional service. No different than your accountant, no different than your lawyer. You can write off that 1% against your taxes at the end of the year. So it comes off your income, right? And so on and so forth. So your net return, if you have product A at a bank at 2% and same product A with an advisor that's also costing you 2%, your net return is actually higher held through the advisor because of your ability to write off if it's in a non-registered account. So any tax sheltered accounts, you cannot write off the fee. Any taxable accounts, you can write off the fee. Okay. A big difference as well, though, is advisors have the ability to have discretionary pricing. So if you go to a bank, the fee is the fee. It's 2%. It is what it is. It says it on the paper. Can't do anything about it. There's no negotiating it. Advisors have the ability, so our costs on the funds itself are always lower because of the fact that there's an advisor fee, and then the advisor fee can be negotiated. The negotiation comes from several things. One, it depends on how much is being invested. Two, comes with the needs of the client. So are we talking once a week, or are we talking once a month? So on and so forth, depending on the needs can dictate that. And again, it also depends on just overall, like there's criteria where we can do family pricing, so nothing gets shared. But hypothetically, if grandma and grandpa are with us, mom and dad are with us, children are with us, grandchildren are with us, the grandchild that's got $5,000 is getting the same pricing as grandparents with $5 million, right? So again, there's so many ways that pricing goes into consideration. Yeah. But overall, I would say it's generally the same, if not cheaper in the end. And again, obviously the level of the plan is significantly higher. Yeah, of course. Yeah, those are the fees. Yeah, every fund has its own fee. And the fund fees are determined by what that fund manager is doing in the fund. If it's a passive fund where there's a lot of bonds and GICs and there's not much activity, typically cheaper. If there's a lot of stocks where the fund manager has to go in there and buy and sell, it's typically a higher fee. Depends. There's different strategies. Different strategies. There's over 15,000 funds available. So it really just depends. There's actively managed funds, there's passively managed funds, and then we do get access to some institutional style managed funds, which again you can't get access to those at bank levels. So there's just very different. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Yes. We do. Yes. Free consultations. Yeah. So if anyone wants to have a chat, there's of course no obligations. We can sit down together. We'll actually build a full plan for you. There's no cost for that whatsoever. And that's it. Yeah. We can discuss your needs, discuss what makes sense, and kind of go from there. Okay. Cool. Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. And I'm very sorry about the slides. We'll see if we can maybe send them out as well. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Hello. So, a couple of announcements. One is, who has heard of the logo contest? Okay. Okay, cool. So, a couple people. So, we have a crew logo contest, and what that is that we are revamping our logo. So, we would like all of you use your creativity skills and submit some of your logo designs. You have up to 5 different logos per person, so per entry, per person, for you to submit, and then a panelist of crew volunteers will be choosing some, and then everyone else will have the chance to actually vote on the new logo design. We have sent out the logo form link on WhatsApp as well as email, and if you require it, let us know, and then we'll send it over to you as well. We're also open up to feedback because we'll be having a social the week after. So let us know what social you want to do, and then we'll have a vote on there on the WhatsApp group. If you want to be added to WhatsApp group, let us know as well. So in that case, we can stand up for a prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil one. In Christ Jesus our Lord, for thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, one God, amen.